We outside. It's 79. Yeah, yeah. The sun is meant to hit the skin. Okay, let's really get into it though. Welcome back to my channel. What's up, y'all? We are at my local park out here. I've been wanting to do this video for mad long. Ever since obviously the beginning of March, because this is heavily going to be about like women's history, specifically like in literature, my favorite authors so far. Let's get into it. If you don't know me, my name is Shahada Morel. I'm a artist, I'm a writer. I like to make garments, upcycled garments, so I would say fashion designer. Um, just a lover, a healer, um, and I'm a mother now, right? A whole bunch of things. I'm everything. I'm everything. Yes, we're back and we're deep, deep, deep in the archives. So, like, share, and subscribe. Look through and see all of the creative things that I'm into, the things that I do, all the things that I talk about and I get into. I didn't even know it was going to be this nice outside today, honestly, but I'm grounding. I'm on the floor. I'm really not sure how long I'll be on this floor, so I might change the perspective and point of view and get on one of those benches. But for right now, I'm very planted and grounded on this grass. Okay, so I will be looking down for reference at my notebook. Because I want to make sure that I'm not going off any tangents. I'm really pretty much doing like top 5 authors and some honorable mentions. I'm gonna go from 5 down to 1, and that's how I have it planned in my book, because I'm a planner now and I'm serious. I'm not trying to waste y'all time. You know what I mean? Like, if we go on chit chat, that's like for the lives and stuff like that, or like see me in person at the gallery shows and stuff. We can really chit chat, hit me up, DM, email, or whatever, you know. But we going, you know what I mean? Top 5 and honorable mentions. So, obviously I'm an artist and I break the rules. So 5, I have like a 2 and 1, right? And I feel like they're both 2 and 1 because I haven't read enough of their work to like give them their own placement. You know what I mean? But it's going to be Nikki Giovanni and Nasaki Shangi. I feel like some people say Shangi and some people say Shang. But Nasaki Shangi. I loved both of the works that I have read from them, right? Nikki Giovanni, I've read Black Feeling, Black Talk, Black Judgment. I read that poetry book and I loved that book. I felt like it was so like the reason why I like specifically that piece, and I've watched docu a documentary on Nikki Giovanni, like I think a little bit right before she had passed away, and just like her spunk, like, you know what I mean, like, she's obviously very serious, she's very honest and open and transparent about how she feels, and I feel like when it comes to like talking about the system, she calls it by name. I do like artists and writers and people just in general that call things by name, you know what I mean? Call a spade, and I feel like even saying like specific, like having specific poems in the book that speak on the aggression that one has when it comes to self-hatred, when it comes to hatred in like the community, or just like deeply the hatred in the systems that are in place, and like just spewing that out, with no filter, so I really love that about that book. And I also like your work that I did see in Wild Beauty for Nasaki Shangi. I love that poetry book. It's a a poetry book that is like of her like collective poems. It's like old poems of other books and new poems too, I believe. And I love books like that, period. Like I love what's that, like anthologies and like just like collected works, retrospectives, documentary type works, like things that you can see like over a span of time. You can have like this kind of like conciseness or conclusion of what one's journey in life has been. Like I really enjoy books like that. Majority of my like reading journey, I feel like, has been a lot of nonfiction. And if it is any type of like creative type of fiction in it, it would be like poetry, because it is creative writing and it has like this imagery, warped vision of reality sometimes, but I am gonna get to that writer that I do read when it's like I do read science fiction, but it feels very closely related to reality. So when I read it, I don't think of it as fiction. I think of it as like nonfiction, you know. But yeah, Nikki Giovanni and Nasaki Shang would be number five for me. Those beautiful black women. That I want to read more of. So if you do have any like recommendations, definitely comment below. Let me know what kind of books. I do want to read Nasaki Shang or Shangi. Oh, I see this girl just come through with that, with like a DJ set or whatever. I wonder if she's finna play. I want to hear some tunes. Sassafras, Cypress, and Indigo. That's what I want to read next. When I've read Well Read Black Girl, which is another wonderful anthology that I really love by Glory Idiom, honorable mention. Saying that prematurely, but it just comes when we talking, right? Definitely look into Glory Idiom. If that's how you pronounce her last name. So sorry if I mispronounce it. Glory is such a beautiful spirit. I felt like it was so like I'm definitely a tangent, right? But we're gonna do it. But her book, Well Read Black Girl, was just so fun. I feel like as a black girl to have so many different recommendations from other black women and hearing their connections to the book, like that really opened me up and made me so appreciative to have so much knowledge in one book. Because when I first started reading, it was really something that I needed to stay in the present, after my grandmother passing away and it being like, this new norm, COVID, quarantine. I needed something to get me out of my thoughts, out of my head, and reading definitely did it for me, so especially like coming to like the beautiful realization of a library card, like the library card and Well Read Black Girl, like that really sent my reading journey, reading hobby into like a upward spiral. So appreciative for Gloria Idiom. And that is the book that I want to read more for Nasaki Shang. I wish I had like another one for Nikki Giovanni, but like I haven't really like looked into it to have it already ready for you to be like, yeah, this is what I want to read next. Now let's get to number four. Number four. So for number four, I'm gonna give it to Clap 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 Alice Walker, and not just for the color purple. You know what I'm saying? Even though I didn't even read the full on Color Purple. Not even gonna hold you. That was after Regents. I think they started reading the Color Purple in my high school after Regents, and I was checked out. And then like I been watched the movie. It was like, you think you put me on, sir? It was like. But Alice Walker, I really appreciate her poetry. I definitely started to read one of her novels but did not finish. I'll put that up and let y'all know that book was spicy, and I was just like, oh my, am I ready for this? I feel like I was too, like, when you feel like you grown and then you get into something and you like, nah, I'm not that mature yet. I don't think I could read this full on now and not have my immature mind always being triggered every time I read it. It was something that I was like, Alice, Miss Walker, honestly, if you're nasty. Alice Walker, her poetry books are so wonderful. They feel like a breath of fresh air. Honestly, yes, it feels like I wrote down that it feels like a deep exhale, a good walk in the park to decompress. When you're like crying real hard and then you just like all of a sudden realize that you stopped crying and you're like having this like deep peace, like you've released enough after a good cry, and you're just like, that's how her poems, her poetry feel for me. um which I appreciate. And when you hear her voice is so soft that like her poems resemble that, like that type of cadence. Like I could, like, it really honestly aligns for me. If you ever like heard her voice and read her poetry, it is very soft, it's very loving, into the world, the universe, the elements. Like you really get that. Also too, for her books, I really appreciate, because I have, oh, I didn't even say the books that I've read, two poetry books that I've read from her is The World Will Follow Joy, Turning Madness into Flowers, and Hard Times Require Furious Dancing. And I love a good title. I love a long title. I love the courageousness and the pizzazz of being like, I'm going to do whatever I want. This is my book. This is my creation. It's going to be long. You're going to get it. You know what I mean? I'm a deep thinker and I'm creative, and I give that in everything that I do. And I feel that with her poetry, with those titles. And I feel like also too, there's a level of capturing resilience within those titles, for the next generation, of being like, I have been there, you know what I mean? I've been there, and this is for you blatantly, like hard times, you going through hard times, or yeah, it requires furious dancing. And you like, Alice, dancing? That's it? But furious dancing, those two words together also feel very like, huh? I feel like for the norm now, it's kind of like people really don't, it is not like a main perspective of people dancing out trauma, dancing out, anger, or even thinking of that intentionally, maybe, I'm not sure. I feel like there's a lot of like like Missy Elliott, different like hip hop artists that speak about like dancing with no shame, and like not having like a specific routine, or just doing a specific move that like seems cool, but like really like flowing throughout your body, like, and like tapping in your body that way when it comes to dancing. And I feel like that title, Furious Dancing, Hard Times Require Furious Dancing, is that perspective of moving your body, tapping into your body, and using that form of release, and releasing like, dense, heavy emotions, and, trying that out, and seeing where that can take you, when it comes to self care and mental health and all of that wrapped up. You know what I mean? And The World Will Follow Joy, Turning Madness into Flowers. Turning Madness into Flowers. It's like these wonderful titles, and then she has these like wonderful poems that just make you feel like, thank you. Yes, I am about to break loose. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm about to fall off the deep end, Alice. You get it, But then she's just. I feel like it's a very much pat on the back, the poems in the book. It's like, her writing, it's like you laying on her shoulder and you're like super duper crying with like snot, there's no tissue, you don't care, she doesn't care, and she's just like, I know, you know? Or like, let's say you have like none of the, maternal figures in your life, they're all gone or they're not close to you. And then you have like just random, wonderful, beautiful, nurturing spirit in the form of a woman. And like, you just like, just release and be so vulnerable. And you feel that energy where you're just so vulnerable. I feel like that's how Alice Walker writing is. So definitely tap in. So number three is absolutely Bell Hooks, Miss G, the OG Gloria. I think I might get off the grass. I don't know if like ants is biting at this. Getting a little. Let me get a little piece of the cake. But I'm a little itchy. And I feel like this is such a long way. I've come such a long way. Like I used to never even sit on the grass without, a little something. Like I got pants on, but like it's just straight my butt on the floor. Like, I was never doing nothing like that. I was insect, but over the years, and shout outs to Sophia, with Sophia and my friend Kia, too, my Scorpion sisters, like being in the park with them, you know, being outside. So nice. But yes, let's go. Sisterhood. Sisterhood. Every day is Women History Month. Oh my God. Sisterhood. Yeah, I feel like I'll be having like T-Rex moments when I'm just like, I love my life. Or like, life is so intense. Um, is there in between? I'm not sure. But yes, Gloria. I mean, Bell Hooks. Let me respect her. I love Bell Hooks. And Bell Hooks made me feel okay with the amount of love that is in my body. Like me having like a big heart, I feel like Bell Hooks has like a really big heart, and I feel like her love series, which I've read, I feel like it really gives that. Like she's like, if all of the women or all of the beings that want to love and feel weird about loving, because this world specifically, and then she shows you, here's an example on how they, misconstrued love for you and why you feel so isolated and people can't really connect deeply when it comes to love. Here's another reason why you can't connect with your black sisters and your black mother, and you can't connect to your black counterpart. Or here's why you probably want to date outside your race. Or here's why you can't love yourself. Like here's why your mother is, combating with you and she can't see the love within you and see the love within her. Like there's like so many like different reasons where it's like you shouldn't feel weird for wanting to love, so I really like, and I feel like she is such a fierce energy, but with this like nice like politeness. I feel like she's like, also I like watching interviews, right? So I like getting the whole scope of a person, especially when they're like, even if they're alive, but when they're dead, it really breaks my heart. And I try to like get as much connection to them as possible, and I just look up everything I could look up about a person. And if I kind of get overwhelmed about that too, because I'm like, I can't fucking download all this information at once, so it does take time. I do have to, I'm interested in all these other writers as well, so it does take time. I want to look this up, then I gotta do this, and I gotta decode this, and I gotta write this down, and you know reflect on this, and what am I learning, what does this mean. I feel like hearing her voice, it's very like squeaky a little bit, but I feel like she has this fire to be like, where you're like, when I feel like, because I feel like she's like, what, from like the suburbs a little bit or something like that, like a rural area a little bit. And I feel like when you hear like a goody two, like remember when like Miranda Cosgrove said like maybe fuck, like I feel like that's how like I feel about bell hooks if she was like my godmother or my auntie. It's like you know she will take it there, but you're always surprised when she does. Like that's how I feel. I'm always like, wow, like you took it there, or you gonna say it again, or you really read all these books and you got all these references and you really not playing. You're really not playing with them. You know, these theories don't come from out the blue. You got a reason why you saying what you saying. And I feel like also too, they, you know, Bell Hooks has been a scholar for a really long time, you know, so I feel like, you know, she was going to school, she got a whole, you know, a lot of degrees. She's been a teacher while she was getting other degrees. She was writing while, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like in real time, while she's writing about subjects that have not been fully developed, have not been fully talked about, you know, that heavy is a head that wears the crown. And then being a black woman that is a scholar in a world that is like G checking you all the time, like, are you a scholar? Is, you know, she's a teacher. She's a teacher. She's writing these pieces that are heavily sourced, and people are still like, but who is she though? You know what I mean? Like, is this really credible though? Can I don't know who published her. You know what I mean? And she still got to call it by name. You know what I mean? She's still gonna call it by name, and like that fury, the ridiculousness behind that. I feel like you can feel that in her books. I feel like in her, specifically when I just finished reading Teaching to Transgress, I feel like there was this like chapter that was so long, and I feel like that whole chapter really was her saying like, here's this white man that is a teacher, because the subject is about teaching, it's about pedagogy. So this is a man that is in the educational system. He is a teacher. He's a white man. We're from the same type of environment. He's from a rural area. He's from the suburbs. He's from the, you know what I'm saying? He's saying this. I'm saying this. Some of the things that we saying is aligned. You know what I mean? If you don't respect what I'm saying, respect what he's saying. And I feel like, you know, she was saying in that book, you know, and I just like, I like women that's gonna take it there. You know what I mean? I like women that got that time of the day. You know what I'm saying? She could have left that specific chapter out, but she had time. You know, I'm gonna write about it. I'm gonna take the time and write about it because y'all playing with me, and I want y'all to hear me. I want y'all to hear me. I'll do it until I'm conked out, dead and gone. Somebody gonna hear me up in here. Y'all gonna hear me, and I feel like I hear you. Nah. Oh my goodness. Any recommendations that you have of bell hooks that I've never heard of? I would love to be surprised that I haven't heard of a book that I'm waiting to read of, but definitely put it in the comments. I think it's time to switcheroo. Okay, so we're on the bench now because I gotta get my tailbone and my booty cheeks a break. The gluteus maximus needs to be honored. Okay, so we're at two, right? And number two is, I don't know. I have to look at my book. Oh my god, my godmother! I can't believe I forgot. Like, but I just had a child. You know, that's what I need to really respect myself. I need to really respect my body in that way because I keep putting my memory towards this old body. Like, girl, you are not the same. We are not the same. I am a different body. Like, I just had a kid postpartum. My body will never be the same. My brain will never be the same. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's just see what it's gonna be like. Cause okay, but number two is Maya Angelou, my godmother for real. Like, I really feel like Maya's my godmother. And all the books that I've read of Maya Angelou, I would put in the description and like maybe the title pages around. But I've read a couple of like biographies, like, you know, autobiographies, and I've read a couple of her autobiographies. My favorite one of her autobiographies is Letters to My Daughters Letters to My Daughters. Yeah, I think, and hello, like, because I'm one of her daughters. You know what I'm saying? You get it? But wow, just a beautiful book. At first I gave that book to my mom years ago. I never read it. I felt like that was a book that she would enjoy or could enjoy because she has majority daughters, and like not even know it was in the book. I'm thinking like this book is about daughters having daughters. I don't know if Maya Angelou had a daughter. If she didn't have a daughter, what kind of kids she had. She had kids, didn't have kids. Didn't know at all at this point. But was like, this is some like mommy book, so like I'm gonna give this to my mom. Like that's what it was. But then reading it for myself, I bought the book myself for myself, and reading it was just like, wow, it really is a book, for like young women, just really speaking about like what she's been through as a woman, in like all the phase of her life, going through like being a young woman, and like her connection to the woman in her life, her grandmothers on her father's side, her mother's side, her mother, how she was influenced by her mother. She became a young mother, she became a mother at a young age. So speaking about that, and like me just really appreciating like her transparency, like that's what it really is for me, because I'm a transparent queen. I love hearing about other women being transparent, because sometimes it can really be ostracizing. It kind of feels weird sometimes, when you being so transparent, or you sometimes you kind of feel like you don't know the line between being transparent and like oversharing. So you kind of like, what's the reason? Is there a reason for me? Just am I too self-absorbed? Is people learning from my experiences? So I feel like a way for me to be quiet and hear from other women before me, women that I admire, or just like I really admire women that hold power, like they emanate power. And of course we know that like Maya Angelou's voice is iconic. We know she emanates power, and like it just like drives you, pulls you in. That light pulls you in, and I've allowed it to pull me in, and that's why she's number 2 on the list. Let's see. Okay. I said Maya Angelou is sultry. She speaks as if she is a messenger. Very deep, very descriptive, unapologetic transparency, which makes you feel seen. Am I even? I feel like I'm fake not looking at my notes. I'm just, but I am. I am. One book of hers that I want to finish is All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes. I've been trying to finish that book for a while now. I got it around the time. I feel like I got it when I was pregnant, but I was really hopeful around my pregnancy. Like when it came to like the reading journey for pregnancy, like my brain was fried. My brain felt fried, honestly. Like if you ever heard oil popping in a pan, that's how my brain felt my first trimester. It was like I really wanted to understand where that came from, and didn't. Yeah, but that book, I haven't finished it yet. Tried it on Audible, didn't finish it. So I want to finish it. Recommend? 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 If you have any recommendations, I'm just gonna keep saying this because like I want all the books. Like the way that I think of my library, of course, Beauty and the Beast. Who else don't think of Beauty and the Beast library? Like that's just the vibe. Like the aesthetic is just it. Even before I was like serious about reading books, I wanted a library. I'm like, what kind of books? What you gonna have in there? You don't even read like that. You want a library like that. But now it's serious. Like I really read now. And my like not even the books that I get from the library, like I have a good collection so far. So I think is, just the recommendations. I digress. I'm not gonna toot my own horn. But to two You know what I'm saying? How you toot your horn? Hey, no. Let's move on. So number one, if she's not the two, it's us. You know, is Octavia Butler. Every time I think of Octavia Butler, I think of how we're all sent here, right? I absolutely am a spiritual person, so I believe that we're all sent here for a specific purpose and a reason, and everything is really written. Things are not coincidences, and I feel like I was meant. Like reading Octavia's Butler work, when I first read Wild Seed, I felt like I was meant to like read her book at that time because I was tweaking out. Like I'm not gonna lie, like the whole new normal stuff, the whole coronavirus, and the fact that I was thinking about the elastic clause and I was putting this and that together, and it was very conspiracy pumped. I was very much like, are we all seeing this? And we all was seeing it, and I was kind of like, what does this mean? I was tweaked out, super duper tweaked out. Um and like very much tapped into myself, because it was just a time of like solitude, forced solitude, forced isolation, forced quarantine. Um, but the benefit from that was the fact that I definitely connected with myself and my spirit and was not living in this like dissociated type of viewpoint anymore. And when I read Wild Seed, I was very much like, wow, this book is meant for me. Wow, I am of this energy. This is of my spirit. It felt very aligned. Like I felt that alignment, and it felt very like relieving because it made me feel like there was more after this. Like I was like, I wonder what else I'm supposed to be searching for, and what else feels so aligned to my spirit. How can I continuously stay in the flow of that alignment, so that I can feel fulfilled and I can, you know, be unapologetically vulnerable and feel like, yeah, because I was outside crying and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's dead. And they always taking the good ones. I was like, well, they definitely took Michael Jackson, but how people before they was like saying that loudly or like had like deep this and that, centered around Michael Jackson. People was like, they took Michael from us. Like, that's how I felt when I found out she passed away. But Wild Seed, Mind of My Mind, the Patternist series, I have not completed, but I've read those two out of it. And it is considered science fiction, but it feels very non-fictiony to me. It feels like the spiritual side of like reality. And yeah, I feel seen and really appreciative in knowing that writers were writing about this, because we all, well, not we all, I'm sorry, I don't want to put that on you. I don't know what you're into, but the trauma from being raised in a religious background, and like having more connection to like the spiritual side of your autonomy and believing that you can be connected to others spiritually, connected to others, or just seeing like this different intense powerful connection of like hugging each other, connecting with each other, um finishing each other's sentences, understanding, being one with each other's thoughts, specifically speaking about like mind of my mind, and like having that like connected consciousness, like, and then people speaking about like Christ consciousness, and like all of that felt so aligned and like within that, like, I don't know, the time that I was reading it, and like me being more connected to like the spiritual side of like YouTube, like the spiritual community and YouTube, and like, just diving more into like my ancestors, diving more into like the clairs, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, like, all of that information I'm like, downloading or getting into researching in this isolation solitude time. So it felt very like it was deep for me. Finding out that she had passed away was deep for me. This information felt very like blueprinty, I really don't even know how I got to Octavia Butler's book. I think I've heard of Bloodchild before, still haven't read it, but I've heard of Bloodchild before, and I feel like people was telling me like, like you would like the book. I'm not sure why they thought that. Maybe just me. I don't know. I can't recall. But very in awe and very appreciative. So that is my top five. We got for number five, it's both Nikki Giovanni and Nisaki Shang. For four, we have Alice Walker. For three, we have Bell Hooks. For two, we have Maya Angelou. And for one, we have Octavia E. Butler. And some honorable mentions I wanted to mention was Glory Idiom, which I mentioned already. Shout outs to Glory. Period. Austin Channing Brown, Trisha Hershey, Morgan Parker, Amada Leone, Viola Davis, and Amanda Lovelace. Author that I want to dive more into that I haven't read and I've been wanting to read more of her work for years is Mahogany Brown. I definitely been wanting to read more of her poetry. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not diving into her soulful energy. She feels very soulful. I've never really like, you know, read her work, but like just seeing her and following her on Instagram and hearing some of her poetry when she performs, she feels so true. And I want to read Morgan Parker's novels. I've read uh recently You Pay What You Get. I think it's You Pay What You Get. Um and that was like a collection of essays, but she has like this like I feel like coming of age novels, like some like teenage novels that I want to get into. um just dive more into like her whole collection of work. So thank you. So I appreciate you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below your book recommendations. Let me know if you also want to have a Beauty and the Beast library like me, or if I'm just super duper childish, and I'm okay with that. Be more whimsy. Okay, I'm being more whimsy.